realization of my own wholeness, the feeling of my twin being very close to me at heart level became very real, and I was feeling him moving closer and closer with each breath. Spirit was now nudging me to approach him, and so 7 months after his email I wrote and told him about the events of the past year. He replied, saying he hoped I still considered him a close friend and how he wished that I had told him about my illness so he could have come and looked after the house and kids. I was perplexed. How was he still, after almost a decade of little or no contact, talking about our close friendship? Surely he hadn't expected that I would contact him in time of need after he had constantly failed to show up for me in the past? This puzzled me a great deal. In his email he also told me how sad he was that I never had the time to see/catch up with him. It dawned on me that he had asked to speak to me, to see me or to catch up with me in almost every email during the past 8 years, and that I had simply ignored these requests without any explanation. I suddenly felt like he deserved to hear my reasons, and so I wrote to him again, telling him the simple truth, which was that I could not consolidate him with the rest of my life, and how seeing him would bring into ruins the life that I had so carefully built for myself. It was the first time that I had been able to be honest with myself, let alone him, about the pain that I still carried. However, as I wrote the words down, I knew I no longer wanted to be afraid. He replied saying he hoped my dilemma would never get in the way of our common ground, shared values and dreams. I was even more puzzled. This was not the first time he had told me this. Why did he keep on talking about our shared values and dreams when clearly he had never wanted to nor had any time to share them with me? I was now seriously questioning my interpretation of past events, choices, words, etc. I was so puzzled that I read through nearly 100 of our old emails, and suddenly a new level of understanding and consciousness was bestowed upon me. My understanding suddenly shifted and I saw both him and myself with new eyes. Changethwe. You are not your story, and neither is your twin. I realized all the ways in which, my vision blurred by my own ego, I had misinterpreted and even completely misread his words and reacted to him from a place of fear and ego rather than love. Things, conversations, moments all came back to me. The first thing I saw were all the ways in which I had simply not been ready or mature enough to step into my union. Having blamed him for 12 years for being the runner, I could now see that I had been the runner all along and that I had been just as scared and unprepared for the intensity of this connection than he had. My heart melted in compassion for him as my renewed understanding towards my own behavior allowed me to deeply understand his. I could see how our long separation had been both necessary and inevitable. I also saw that his past and current withdrawals had nothing to do with me but rather with the intensity of having to face himself. Certainly I was not the victim here. It was just a story I had been telling myself. At last, I made the decision to finally release all the false stories, beliefs, roles and personas and to fully embrace who I already am. As I did this I felt free. Free from want, from sadness, from my restless search, from all the conditions and barriers that I had set up for myself when I hadn't known my own power, or the power of God, yet. 5. Your twin flame is of divine service to you, as you are to him. I had been quick to assume that my twin was the unconscious one who either failed to see the truth or who denied it. However, I was now bestowed with the knowing that he had always known about our connection, just like I had, and that all this time he had been waiting for me to come into this same awareness. I finally understood that this validation regarding his feelings could never have come from him. It could only come from realizing the truth of our one soul, where our love is always felt and experienced as a one. Clearly, his love for me was just as unexplainable to him as my love for him was to me. He had always, regardless of circumstances, loved me and cared about me. I no longer needed to hear it, I could feel it. He had always showed up to guide me past the thresholds of the various stages and realizations of our journey, facing me in his own way, in order to serve our union. I saw how by triggering and challenging me, he had always invited me to heal, to connect with my true self and to face my fears. He always knew just what to do/say to get me to expand in the love. My twin flame had always been my biggest champion, my biggest ally and my closest friend even when appearances had me believe the contrary. I realized that it was him who by not being there taught me to seek and find comfort within our shared twin flame heart. It was him who by triggering all that was unhealed within me taught me how to heal it. It was him who by turning down my love taught me that it needed to be returned to God. It was him who by withdrawing his love from me taught me that I did not need anyone's permission to give it to myself. And it was him who by allowing our separation to go on for nearly a decade guided me to a place outside of time where we are never separate. I suddenly felt humbled and immensely grateful as I realized that all this time he had been of divine service to me. He had awakened me, reminded me who I am, taught me the meaning of true love, and then called me home to him, to God and to divine service so beautifully. I felt such deep love and reverence for him. This love filled all my empty spaces and started overflowing everywhere, and I prayed to God that I could be of such divine service to my twin flame in return. I wanted to always be there for his growth for the greater good of all, whatever it took. I now trusted him fully, and I could finally sigh in relief. We are in this together, no matter what. We hope this channel has helped you discover where to start on your actual paths. It's a good karma to put a like, subscribe and share. Leave your suggestion in the field below. With all the love to you.